connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Sports Arena. I'm your man, Eric Wilson, here on a Monday night, and we have a lot to get into. So let me go ahead and start the show by saying, because we were not on yesterday, happy Mother's Day, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Take a moment to say thank you and recognize all them. I also want to take just a really quick moment. Unfortunately, got some news today, and we want to show love to a young brother who, at the very young age, unfortunately lost his life. This young man right here, he did play in the NBA for a couple of seasons. We just want to take a moment, share our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to his family. All right. With that being said, let's jump right in. So a lot of stuff has happened over the weekend, and your boy's not in a good mood. Let me just say this. And they say sometimes things happen in threes. Well, I guess for me, this was it. First, my second favorite city, because you know my home is Philly, the great city of Chicago. I was just there Friday for the home opener of the WNBA World Champion Chicago Skies, and they lost to the Los Angeles Sparks. Game was in overtime, though. So besides the bad weather, and then the Sparks the Sparks beating the Sky, I was like, okay, that's two. What's the third? Well, the third came down today. Joel Embiid is not the MVP. Now, listen, I could rant about this, but I decided to take a different approach. So I have asked a fellow member of the Sideline Sports Network family, a fellow Philadelphian Eagles brother. He has his show Friday night, 7 p.m., the Play Caller Sports Talk Show. He is one of the two hosts. My brother, Cool McCain, is joining me here this evening. So, sir, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I've had actually a really great weekend. The Atlanta Dream did get a victory to start the season against the Dallas Wings. My brother graduated, was able to go and support him there. And then, as predicted by me on all social media platforms since the beginning of the season, we have the back-to-back reigning and defending. I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. MVP. The correct and only choice. Not Joel Embiid, not Giannis, Nikola Jokic.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try and remain as, what's the word? Correct word I'm looking for. I'm going to try and be as professional as possible about this, because while I don't altogether disagree with the choice, I understand that between Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, and you could even throw Devin Booker into the conversation.
You could throw
But
a
aside
couple more
from Devin
people
Booker,
into it, honestly.
you
could
could throw any. Okay,
Yeah.
but Joel Embiid, for everything that he had to endure this season, and we'll just take the regular season. Okay, we're not talking about playoffs because
Exactly. We're not
that's what
talking
the
about
vote,
playoffs.
right? Because that's what the vote
Mhm.
is based on. Never fully aware of if and or when Ben Simmons was going to play, having to be the main piece of the 76ers offense and defense for an 82 game series, 82 game season, excuse me, having to continually prove himself night in, night out to be the saving grace as to why the 76ers were either 1 or 2 games shy of the number 1 seed. How is it that an individual or individuals do not recognize this? And he has the stats to back it up.
Okay. So let me first address Mr. Tatum. Salt is always welcome. I like French fries, and I can always use extra salt for those fries. So thank you for that. Um, you do have a point. So I'm going to say this to you. You do have a point. Your man, Mr. Embiid, did have a really good season. Actually, no. That's not fair. He had a great MVP considerate season. You make some points as to why you feel he should be the MVP. So let me counter you with some points on why the man is the MVP back to back and why he is the MVP. So you mentioned Ben Simmons drama. That can be distracting. We had Michael Porter Jr. played 9 games, back drama the whole year. We also at the same time had ACL. Is he coming back? Is he not coming back? Jamal Murray drama all year. And if you were to take Nikola Jokic off of this Denver team, you are looking at Portland 2.0. And that's the top end of what they would be. So while you had a guy who did have to step up and he had to do these things, and what you said is not a falsehood or an exaggeration. But there was a guy on the West Coast, not on a team that gets the national love, you know, not getting the calls like most people that have won the MVP were getting, at least the next season, that still came out and did his thing and was able to improve himself in several statistical categories over said MVP season. That's why he's the back-to-back MVP.
Okay, cool. With respect, my brother, I will receive your information and retort this right back to you. You say that if you take Jokic, the back-to-back MVP, and I will give him his flowers because they are well deserved. But if you take him off of Denver, they are Portland 2.0. What do you think Philly is without Joel Embiid? They're no better than Charlotte 2.0. Okay, and
Really?
I got love for Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle and Danny Green and the rest of that crew. But the fact of the matter is, without Embiid, the Sixers weren't even getting in the play-in tournament.
I don't. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Now I will say this: without Embiid, I think they would be in the play-in. I think if they did not have him, they would be in that range, maybe a little bit higher because there were some atrocious teams in the East that kind of someone had to get in the playoffs. But I will say this: obviously, the team is much better with Embiid. That's not a doubt. That's not a question. That's not an argument. But you have to understand when you're the one guy that everyone's focusing on every single night. And I'm not saying that, Embiid is not the guy, but you've had some nights when Maxey had good games. You've had some nights where other people have had quality high games and been the top scorer. Go look at the Nuggets score. There hasn't been a night that he played that he wasn't the top scorer. He had to shoulder that burden. He had to also be the main facilitator. He also had to be the main rebounder. He also had to get steals, block shots. This man had to do everything for this team to get the 6th seed, not a top 3 seed, not a 2 seed. He had to do everything just to stay out of the play-in. That's what this man had to accomplish, pretty much by himself. I don't think anyone will argue Aaron Gordon is not a number 2 option. Jeff Green is not a number 2 option. JaMychal Green is not a number 2 option. Will Barton is not a number 2 option. And so on and so forth. Austin Rivers. These are the guys that he took, strapped on his back, and got the 6th seed. Now, was he going to be able to go any further in the first round? No, because you have to have help. He got help one game and he got one win. And again, this is not to discount, and I've said this all along, Joel Embiid and what he's done. And also you can throw Giannis in that conversation as well because he had a very good statistical year as well. I understand why they were the 3 finalists, but all jokes aside, no mess, no try to be funny or anything. Joel Embiid was the guy for this year that was right there, but just not quite the guy. I really think if it was down to 2, it would have been Embiid and Jokic, and Giannis would have just been right under them at 3rd. But it's not a disrespect thing to anything that he's accomplished, and I want to make sure people understand this. This is not, this guy won and this guy's not as good. No, for this season, this was the guy.
And I think, and this is what I will say, sir. And again, we are on the same page. We are not showing disrespect to either gentleman here. We are just
absolutely
voicing our opinion on how we feel. But I think the determining factor is something that I heard Stephen A. Smith say today. I think because if you look at the top players, Giannis came into Sixers home court and beat them. Brooklyn, after the Ben Simmons, James Harden trade, came in and just mollywopped the dog snot out of us. And I couldn't even watch that game past halftime. Denver did it as well. And so when you encompass those, it's like, okay, I think that might have been the determining factor as to why he did not receive it. But again, you talk about there were no number 2s on the Denver Nuggets squad. There were no number 2s on Philly. We were waiting on the second coming of Ben Simmons to bring his stuff in here. Danny Green played as hard as he could. Seth Curry did what he was supposed to do. Again, Thibault, Maxey, DeAndre Jordan, the whole entire, there was no Robin to Batman for Philadelphia. It was the Dark Knight every single night. He might have been able to have a team underneath him, but he did not have a solid number 2. So listen, I will respectfully agree to disagree with you. But I will say this, Jokic, has earned that title. Let's see what happens with Joel Embiid moving forward, because I have said it since March, and I stand on my own 2 firm feet and say Philly is going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Book it, people. And I still say that to this day. That is not changing. That is not going away. But for this moment, I will concede and show love to Jokic. Congratulations. You are the back-to-back MVP championship. Now, both Philly and Denver have one job after this season is over. Go get some damn help.
Yeah, I mean, I feel what you're saying, but we have a Robin. We have a Nightwing. Whoever else you want to be the third. It's not anybody's fault, right? The next 2 guys got hurt. So it is what it is. And I haven't complained about it. I haven't cried about it because it is what it is. You go out with what you got and you play. But like I say, man, Embiid is going – I'm going to say this. Embiid is going to get an MVP. Because no matter who you go and bring in, the way that he plays, he's going to get an MVP. Once I have my complete team back, my expectation would be for some of Jokic's numbers to decrease, hopefully so this man can have a longer career.
Time will tell, my brother. We shall see. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is my fellow Eagle brother, fellow Philadelphian, Cool McCain. Make sure you check him out every Friday, 7 p.m. Again, him and his co-host, Stephen Box, the Play Callers sports talk show. Make sure you follow my brother on Twitter at Real Play Callers on Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and get the crew in here because they are chomping at the bit to say something about this whole entire MVP thing. So, Cool, I appreciate you, my brother. Best of luck to you. Congrats on all your success, and I will definitely talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me get the crew in here because they are dying. Queen of Hoops has been the only quiet one in the building. Mike Carotenuto and the referee, look at him. He already the man ain't even said 2 words, but I can look through his eyes like he wants to shoot daggers at a brother. Raylan, what's with the referee shirt first and foremost, sir? And good evening to everybody.
Good evening. I just came from refereeing. That's what's up with the shirt. Came straight off the football field, walked in the house, and walked up to this computer. So, yeah, that's a real job, real refereeing. That's what I was doing.
Did you make all the right calls?
You and Mike wanted to. Y'all were in the chat talking like, "Please let me in, please let me in." So I'm gonna step aside and let the three of you have your moment talking about this MVP.
Listen, I wanted in while he was on. I wanted to go at that trash argument that Cool was making because, like, he's only making that argument because he comes on here wearing a Denver hat. Like, yes, my guy deserved it. Like, if we gonna be for real, we got to call a spade a spade. Look at the history of the award. 6 seeds don't win MVP, right? There have been 3 6 seeds to win the MVP. You had Kareem in the 70s when the Lakers didn't make the playoffs, and that was by virtue of the format. His team actually had a better record than 2 teams that were in the playoffs, but because of the format, he didn't make it, right? And then you had Russ with the quote-unquote historic triple-double. He did something that people thought couldn't be done, right? And he had the whole narrative behind him. The whole world was like, oh, KD left Russ. Now look at what he did, right? Jokic is a 6 seed. He ain't special. Like, I've done the numbers. I've done the history on this award. You have to be the best player on one of the best teams. As long as this award has been given out, it's always the best player on the number 1 or 2 seed. A 3 seed is only won it a couple times. Jordan in 88, and then Steve Nash, and he really wasn't the 3 seed. Again, that was a format thing. He had the second best record, but he was the 3 seed because they was in the same division, whatever, right? Steve Nash, Mike, and then in the modern era, you throw Russ in. 6 seeds don't win MVPs, especially when there are other worthy candidates who played as well as Embiid and Jokic did. Like, we giving it to a 6 seed now because we like Jokic? No.
Right, but Megan and Ray, you remember what I said? I said it like 2 weeks ago. Is when it was 2 weeks ago when we started, like, when this was heating up more, saying, all right, I really do think, I thought it was Embiid, but I could see everybody's talking about Giannis and obviously Joker, and there was some, I mean, not even just here out west, but some push for Devin Booker. But what did I say to you guys lastly? The analytics people ruin this. But look, Jokic just came the first player to go 2,000, 1,000, and 500, man, in the history of the NBA. Ray, that's sick. And again, does that make him MVP? I respect your point. I respect your point, but I'm just saying, analytics people ruin this. That's my point to you.
The only analytics part that is very, very, very impressive is that his PER for this year is the number 1 all-time in history of the game PER. Right. You know what was the number 2 all-time PER in the history of the game? Giannis season this year.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Giannis Antetokounmpo
I didn't know that.
That one I didn't.
Yeah.
No,
Jokic was at 32.8. Giannis was at 32.1.
All right, and you did bring that up before, but I'm just saying, if you're the first player in the NBA history to have over 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists, Ray, again, I understand it's
arbitrary, it's arbitrary, though.
Yeah, but again, a lot of people said that about Russ, and I used to get mad. They're like, "Oh, well, his teammates just let him get rebounds." No, the dude's getting back and getting rebounds. But look, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, as analytics become more and more, and those voices, even though it's the writers, but those voices get more and more in the ears. And again, it's a different generation also voting too, Raylan, is because they're younger. So I know how Megan feels. I'm just saying, like, look, I think between the 3 of them and then Booker as a very close 4th there, I guess.
No, he wasn't. Let's not do that Devin Booker thing. Megan, please talk.
I don't know. Hold on. I actually feel like Booker is in the top 5 conversation of MVP. Do I think he was top 3? No, obviously not. The 3 that made the finalists was absolutely the top 3. But do I think he's top 5 conversation? Absolutely. I think a lot of people just didn't give Devin Booker a whole lot of shine this season. Just personal opinion. And I definitely don't want to take anything away from Jokic. Like, man is a walking triple-double. Like, he does so much for that team. He really runs the offense, and look at his size, and he runs the offense. So definitely don't want to take anything away from him. But my personal MVP for this season was absolutely Embiid. If you are averaging more points than you are minutes, and like you guys were saying, like, you didn't have Harden for 60 games of the season. You didn't have Ben Simmons. You had Tobias Harris stepping up into that number 2 role. And he's obviously not a number 2 player. He's your number 3. He's your number 4 option right there. Excellent role player, but he's not your number 2 option. And he's definitely not your point guard. So in my opinion, I feel like Embiid did more during the regular season than Jokic, just because how many times have I said this on the show? Winning matters. Winning absolutely matters. And so that's why it should be Embiid compared to Jokic. Just my opinion. Winning matters.
Fair enough.
Because I've said it so many times on the show, I have to stand by it now too.
No, it's fine. Feet to the fire. We know what Megan feels. Winning matters. We got it. Listen, I wanted to give y'all the opportunity to have that conversation because Cool and I wanted to talk about it. Like I said, I could have ranted about this. I could have. But I got something a little more pressing that we're going to talk about, or I'm going to speak on. I'm going to rant a little bit later on. Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, we are going to stay in the NBA because I have some questions that I need answers to. And I know the three of you, along with everybody in our chat, is going to give it to me. So more with the crew in about a minute. Welcome back into the Sports Arena on a Monday night. You got Megan Price, our Queen of Hoops, Dallas Wing representative, Ray Lenz, LA Sparks representative. Congratulations to your Sparks, sir. And sports reporter without pay, Mike Carotenuto, Phoenix Mercury. Free Brittany Griner. Bring her home, please. And your man, Eric Wilson, of course, as you see, world champion, Chicago Sky representative here, all talking about the WNBA, which we'll get into a little bit later. But Mike Carotenuto, no, actually, you know what? I'm gonna come back to you, sir. Megan Price, let me start with you. Even though he is not here, I have to talk about him because he is our brother, John Shearer. Megan Price, are the Miami Heat in trouble? The series is tied at 2 apiece. Game 5 is tomorrow. Pivotal Game 5 for both of these teams. Are the Miami Heat in trouble, Megan Price?
They are definitely in the hot seat. Do I feel like they can get out of it? Yes. I feel like they can make it to the next round. I do feel like even though Embiid is battling through these injuries, he's got the black mask on. It's like the first time since they outlawed it with LeBron. Like he's been the only one allowed to wear it. Is he bringing great name to it? Absolutely. Is he doing great? Absolutely. I feel like at this point in time, though, Miami is a little more solid. Like we finally see James Harden make an appearance. It was nice of him to show up finally. We haven't seen him all playoffs and probably the last 3 weeks of the regular season, if we're being real. So nice of him to show up. Welcome to the NBA. We're in the playoffs now. Hopefully he can continue on to the next round, but I don't see it. And I feel like that's going to be the main problem right there because Embiid can only do so much. He can put up 55. What's the rest of the team going to do? So that's where I'm at on that. At Miami, you're going to have Bam. You're gonna have Kyle Lowry, who made a return. You're gonna have all those other options. You're gonna have Duncan Robinson, Harrow, 6th man of the year. Like you're gonna have all these other options that are gonna bring up that point distribution. What is Philly gonna do besides Embiid?
Okay, I have a couple answers for that, but let me go to our sports reporter without pay and talk to him because, like Megan said, from her eye test, we haven't seen James Harden show up, but he's here now. And right now is when it counts. Can the 76ers, and I know, yes, they can. I'm not going to be like Mike and go both ways. I know it's a probability. But I asked this question. What percentage do you give Philadelphia for coming down here to the 305 and winning Game 5 against a Miami Heat team that is one of the best defensive teams in the league? You are muted, sir.
My apologies. I wish John was here. That's what I wish. They have a very good chance. Go back and look at the show Monday. Go back and look at the clip I reposted. When I said, what are we talking about here? Miami is up 2-0 without who a lot of us had as the MVP, right? Like, so he didn't win it. Joel Embiid was one of the top 3 players in the NBA this year. You remove him from the equation and then go, oh, it shouldn't matter, Mike. The team is built around him. It's him and a bunch of role players, right? Harden's a second-tier star at best at this stage in his career, right? And like all this, like people talking about all this depth in Miami, and they would just throw names out. Oh, Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson ain't played all series. How he gonna help the point distribution? He ain't played all series. Ain't shot a shot. He ain't gonna help no point distribution. Oladipo ain't the same Oladipo of old. He averaging 12 points in the playoff. Miami ain't this great team that everybody's trying to make them out to be. We've seen the difference with Joel Embiid back. They say a series don't start until a road team win a game. That hasn't happened. But what I do know is with Joel Embiid on the floor in this series, Philly is 2-0. He don't have to score 50. His presence alone is like when I talk about the Steph Curry effect. Look what happened, on the last show. You were saying, where's Danny Green? And I said in response to you, well, Danny Green's a complimentary player. His job is to knock down open shots when you focus on Embiid. What happens the next 2 games? Danny Green hit 7 3-pointers in Embiid's first game back. And then the next game, he hits 4 or 5 3, something like that. Like, now you getting your role playing 3-and-D, knockdown shooter, hit shots, because they have to focus on the main. Remember we talked about those mashed potatoes and green beans? They look a lot better with that steak in the middle with Embiid. So they have a very good chance because he's the best player on the floor every time. On both sides of the ball, Joel Embiid is the best player on the floor in this series, period. Jimmy went for 40, and it didn't matter. As long as Embiid's on the floor, I like Philly in this series.
All right.
I'm glad that I inspired your segment. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, Mike Carotenuto, you get to see these games and then enjoy the left coast, as you call, with your Phoenix team. And we're going to get to them in a minute. But for this particular matchup, I know you have been one of the few people who has been with me since the beginning. You're like, Eric, hey, I want Philly Phoenix in the finals. Philly Phoenix in the finals. And listen, games 1 and 2 in this series, I was like, please, someone just pull one out. Pull one out. Because I knew if Joel was back for 3, we could have made this 3-1 matchup. Didn't happen. So guess what? The Stephen A. Smith and Tim Legler, I owe y'all an apology because I tweeted at both of y'all, like, keep that same energy. But aside from that, Mike, talk to me about Miami, specifically the coaching of Eric Spoelstra, because as much as you say you gonna game plan for Joel Embiid, you knew in your mind them first 2 games he was not going to show up. But now you back in Miami. All your fans are there. As the head coach, a man who has a basketball mind, right? You've got to prepare. Talk to me about what he needs to do to be prepared for Joel Embiid tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point because he said, well, either way, we weren't looking at that. We were just preparing for him to be there. Well, the one person who benefits from that, and not that he's not a very good player, is Bam Adebayo, as we know. Like, as much as, is giving John a hard time and hope he feels better. But like when you like Raylan said, when you take that MVP out, it's tough. But as a coach, like when you're making adjustments, when you don't have to adjust for an MVP caliber player, like it makes it look, they'll never admit it because they're constantly breaking down film and coaches are looking for whatever advantage they can get, as we all know. But it makes it a ton easier when he's not on the floor. Miami still does have great ball movement. I'll give him that. And I mean, to Megan's point, yes, there are other guys that can score. Jimmy goes for 40, and with Embiid in there, it makes it a different kind of. I mean, it is 40, but Embiid's on the floor. Harden goes off, and look, I'm not going to say that Harden looks different and whether he was or wasn't taking care of his body, Eric, and whether he wore a fat suit to get out of Houston, because then he looked yoked like 2 weeks later in Brooklyn. And then even with Philly. My only thing is, and it's not going to come out, he's just going to play. But if that hamstring is still ailing him, but when he was dribbling last night, when he was taking those shots, Eric, it was so hard for me not to text him and be like, I told everybody. He just looked lighter on his feet. Now, look, that hamstring's probably been bugging him since the playoffs last year. And then coming over to Philly, I know he played a few and then sat out. And then they try to get that chemistry with Embiid. But you can't. I mean, Raylan makes a perfect point. And to anybody, if you take anybody's MVP off the court, it's gonna be emphatically different. And when you have a 7-footer that has the touch he does, Eric Spoelstra, you're right. He can say all he wants, but when you don't have to adjust to that on the court, anything you do is, I think, going to look pretty smart. I think we all could have coached and looked pretty smart when Embiid's not on the court.
Fair enough. All right, so I'm going to come right back to Mike here, but let me just add my little diatribe here with regards to the Sixers. Or in regards to the Heat. Are the Heat in trouble? Hell yeah, they in trouble. You want to know why? Because Batman's coming to the 305 to whoop that ass. That's what's fitting to happen. Let me just tell y'all right now, okay? I've been saying this since March. I have said it in my own 2 feet. No one's told me otherwise or they've tried to prove me wrong, but my team has still proven that when you back us into a corner, just like Rocket, we're going to come out swinging. When you consider us the underdogs like the Philadelphia Eagles, we win a Super Bowl. So guess what? Keep sleeping on Philadelphia, even though we didn't have Joel Embiid for them first 2 games. Because I said it back in March. I said it in April. It's May 9th, people. It's a sports arena on a Monday night live, and I'm saying it for the umpteenth time. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to the Eastern Conference Championship. Book it. With that being said, Mike Carotenuto, right back to you, sir. Are your Phoenix Suns in trouble?
Well, look, you know me. We always say the officiating is not the same, and it just became ticky-tack yesterday. But look, they didn't make plays. The Mavericks, I'm not going to make excuses. The Mavericks shot the lights out at home for 2 games. But you get Chris Paul on 3 pretty much crap calls on fouls. Those aren't playoff fouls. The third one, he got bowled into and they called it on him. So look, if they're going to lose somebody like Chris Paul, then that's a point guard that you, Eric, you're not replacing. But no, I don't think they're in trouble. I think you come back home, and all the junk that went down there yesterday too in Dallas with his family. But on the court, yeah, he had more fouls than he did points. So that's not a way to do it. Other guys, like we've talked about, role players have to step up, but you still need, as we've all said, yes, it's obvious, you still need your stars to perform and to be at that level. Just what I said, Embiid means to Philly. Obviously, Chris Paul and how he controls the game and what he does is huge. But I just got to say this lastly, Eric. The one thing I'm sick of is, yeah, the guy can shoot, the guy can play. I am just so sick. And you know me, you've known me a long time. NBA players are constantly whining about calls. But honestly, if I was a ref, I would probably double T Luka within 5 minutes, man. He just does not stop whining. Like he makes, sorry, Megan, and he's through too. He makes Manu Ginobili look like a saint.
Why you got to bring up old stuff? I got my shirt on right now.
That's why I'm saying it. It was a transition to you, but no, I don't think they're in trouble. Okay. I don't think they're in trouble.
Well, transition to that steal that Manu got as my cover photo on Facebook from James Harden, who has just barely showed up in the playoffs this season. So, but going back to the Suns, no, they're not in trouble. Did Dallas surprise with that second win? Yes, in my opinion, I had Dallas getting 1 win regardless. They kind of surprised last night. But I don't think that Chris Paul will have another game where he goes 5, 7, and 5. It's just not going to happen. Definitely not in back-to-back performances. So game 5, guaranteed. I got the Suns winning that. Do I think they finish the series in game 6? I do. But, if game 7 happens, I still believe Suns close it out regardless. I do think it's going to be game 6. You're just not going to have those back-to-back bad performances out of somebody like Chris Paul. It's just not going to happen. I don't care what his age is. But also, you're not going to have great closeout games out of Chris Paul back-to-back either. You're not going to have him go 30-plus in back-to-back games. So just a little bit of age right there. But I think his intensity, his competitiveness, he's going to come back strong next game. And we already saw what Devin Booker's at. He's at 100%. And they're 100% going to make it to the next series.
Raylan, and you are muted.
No, I'm here. I was just trying to process the idea of not seeing Chris Paul have back-to-back bad games because he had 12 points and 7 turnovers in game 3.
So
and then 5 points.
I inspired you again, is what you're saying?
Misinformation inspires me. Chris Paul disappears at whenever his team needs. I've been saying this. Whenever you think like his team got it figured out, Chris Paul will let you down every single time throughout his entire career. Every single time his team needs him, he either plays poorly or he gets hurt. Every single time. Houston Rockets got Golden State on the ropes, his hamstring bad. LA Clippers versus Portland up 2-0, his hamstring is bad. Last year in the finals, Drew Holiday put him on lock. Like when his team needs him, Chris Paul is known to disappear, and people just ignore it and call him the point guard. Here we are. You're up 2-0 in a playoff series. You have the opportunity to really snatch this series away. You're the better team, right? This is what Mike been telling us all year. They won 60. It's the only team that won 60 games this year, right? They supposed to stump this team, put them away. And here they are going back to Dallas, and Chris Paul goes for 12 points with 7 turnovers. And then the next game, he has more fouls than points in back-to-back games when you could have really put the series away. Now you got to go back to Dallas because you let them win both games at home. Yes, Phoenix is in trouble. They can still win the series, but this is just like the first series where you was like, they should have put New Orleans away. That's a problem with them not putting teams that they're clearly better than away. So even if they get through this series, now you have to go play Golden State or Memphis, which should probably be Golden State. Then you got to go play probably Milwaukee or Boston or even Philly, right? These kind of performances won't hold up the further they move on. Like they have shown early in these playoffs that they can't put away teams that they should be clearly better than. And that is holding true right now against Dallas. Dallas shouldn't be in this series. You letting who went off? Dorian Finney-Smith. Is that who went off yesterday? Finney-Smith went off? That can't happen. That can't happen. Okay, they were much better. They were much better with the idea of, when you have a superstar and you go, it's 2 ways you guard him. You're either going to try to shut him down and force the others to beat you, or you're going to say, we're going to let him get his and nobody else can get theirs. Dallas is clearly a better team when everybody else is involved. So the game plan should be, if Luka go for 60, so what? Nobody else is going to beat us. That's what happened in games 1 and 2.
Absolutely. But you're going to tell, okay, the whole thing with Chris Paul, and you and I have talked about this in the past, and everybody has. Like, he didn't hurt his own hamstring when he was in Houston. Like, it was an injury that came down. Like, this is the whole problem I always have with the phrase injury prone. Like, yes, he got hurt. Last year he got hurt and he came back and everybody's like, oh, look, he's hurt. Hurt his shoulder against the Lakers, finish out that series. Then they turn around and they sweep Denver. Then they turn around this. There's always an excuse as to why that they won. But then because somebody else wasn't playing for the other team. But if he gets hurt, he's not trying to hurt himself. Is he trying to hurt himself? Yeah, you can go to sleep on it because he's not hurting himself, Eric. That's what I'm talking about. And they're going to whoop Dallas in Game 5. Thank you.
Y'all have 17 years of information to show you that this is a thing with Chris Paul. 17 years of this.
Stick a pin in it. We're going to come back. Megan, you are muted, my dear.
That he intentionally injures himself? Like, that's ridiculous. No, he might be injury prone. That could be a take I could take. But that he injures himself, like, he just hurts himself so that he can't be there in the playoffs, that's ridiculous.
I said that.
I don't think Ray Lynn said that. I think
I said that whenever his team needs him, he either plays bad or he's hurt every single time.
Okay,
been happening since 2006.
He chooses to be hurt. That's his choice. That's kind of how you make it sound.
Stick a pin in it, people. We got to pay some bills. When we come back, I am going to ask a question very simply, and I want everybody's answer. Who is under more pressure as it currently stands right now in this moment? Is it CP3 or is it James Harden? Answer that question when we come back.
If you have a business, company, or product, and you want to reach the right audience, contact DBNA Television. DBNA TV reaches over 100,000 viewers a month and has advertising plans for all budgets. You can see your ads running on Roku TV, Amazon Fire, On Demand, and dozens of other top platforms for only $1 a day. Call our advertising sales department between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, at 484-695-5187. That's 484-695-5187. Make the call and then watch the results. It pays to advertise on the DBNA Television Network.
Welcome back into the sports arena on a Monday night. Your man Eric Wilson alongside our Queen of Hoops, Megan Price, Ray Lynn, sports reporter Rob Pay, and Believe in the Pac-12, Mike Carotenuto. So I asked a question before the break, and again, shout out to DBNA Television, where you can catch replays of this show, the Sports Arena, at 4 o'clock in the morning on DBNA TV on Roku. Who is under more pressure right now, James Harden or Chris Paul? I'm going to give each of y'all 30, 45 seconds. Give me your thought and opinion on this. And, of course, Queen, we're going to start with you. I need the timer just in case Mike likes to go over. But anyhow, Megan Price, who's under more pressure?
You have to go with CP3 right now. I'm just going to read off some of his accomplishments, and then we're going to talk about what he hasn't done. 12-time All-Star, All-Star MVP, 4-time NBA first team, 5-time NBA second team, 7-time NBA All-Defensive Team, 2-time second team, Rookie of the Year, Rookie first team, 5-time NBA assists leaders, 6-time NBA steals leader. He's on the anniversary team. Like, what has he not done? He has not won a championship. He's been on several teams. He has made every single team better. But what has he not done? He has not won a ring. He is 37 years old. The time is an issue. And so definitely he is under more pressure. James Harden has a little more time left in his career before we can say, hey, he's in the hot seat. He has not won a ring. I mean, you can say it now, but he still has a little more time. Chris Paul's days are numbered.
Mike Carotenuto, who's under more pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I know Harden. People said a lot about Harden, how he's the one that's under this pressure now because you get to play with Embiid. But I mean, I gotta agree with Megan. I mean, knowing what Chris Paul has accomplished in his career, and yes, you look at the age, just turning 37. Like, do I think he could do this with Booker and with this team for one more year? Absolutely, but I think you're under pressure now to win the title. So yeah, I mean, I would lean towards Chris Paul, but I mean, James Harden is pretty much headed down that same path. And for Chris Paul to get to the final, if they get back to the finals this year, which again, I think they can, a little bit of work to do, but they get back to the finals, you can't lose back to back. I mean, that'll definitely take a hit. He'll still be one of the greats. He'll still be on the anniversary teams. It's everything Megan said, but Chris Paul definitely under a little more pressure than Harden.
So Chris Paul is older, right? He has less time left to accomplish these kind of things. Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns were in the NBA Finals last year. They came in this year favored. They won 64 games and had a top 5 offense defense. He has young, talented players like Booker and Ayton. They're deep at every position. And guess what? It's still no pressure on him. You know why? Because fans and media have made up their mind that they don't care what Chris Paul does. He's the point guard. He's the only guy to get a ton of excuses. James Harden, on the other hand, already has a negative connotation attached to his name. He doesn't show up big in playoffs. That's the storyline on James Harden. No matter how much I argue it, that's what fans and media think of James Harden. He can't get it done. So he has way more pressure because if he doesn't succeed, it'll be you played with the MVP, top 3 player in the league, Joel Embiid, and still couldn't get it done. Meanwhile, Chris Paul, no matter how much he fails, fans will just look it over and bypass it. He ain't got no pressure. Chris Paul don't have to win.
So when I look at both these men, to all the points that everybody here on the Sports Arena has made tonight, all valid, but here is the one for me, the difference that's going to set why I say James Harden is under more pressure. And that's simply because of the city you play in. There's a level of expectation that has been brought upon you when you come into the 215, when you come into the Spectrum. We don't care who you are, where you come from. We need to know that you leave it all on the field, or in this case, all on the court each and every night. So James Harden, let me be abundantly clear. I don't care if you wore a fat suit to get out of Houston. I don't care if you didn't like playing with Kyrie, which is why you came to Philly. But guess what? You're here now. And right now is what we need. I'm not worried about what's going to happen next season or in the off season or the draft. I'm worried about tomorrow, and I'm worried about the next series, and I'm worried about the NBA Finals, because that's the James Harden that I need. A man who's only been to that final one time. I need you to get back there and get this stigma off your back, because if you can do that, I truly believe that the world will embrace you, and more importantly, Philly will love you. But right now, sir, you are under the most pressure. All right, let's keep it moving. Actually, you know what? Before we jump to the WNBA, there is something that I need to take care of. So as I like to do here on the Sports Arena, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition, like I said, whether you like me or not, of Eric's Rant.
Swung on and hit in the air to Nico Simmons.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Eric's Rant. Like I always say, I'm just another loud mouth with an opinion. But I think you're going to like this one. But whether you don't, guess what? Here it goes. So yesterday was Mother's Day, a day that we all took time to honor the women in our lives who were our first love, our biggest fan, our biggest supporter. They were the ones who held our hands when we had to go to kindergarten on that first day of school, and they were front row when we graduated from high school. To everyone who still has their mother, take a moment and recognize them and love them and cherish them, because they are truly a blessing. And on a personal note, shout out to my mom, who's about to be 75 in a month. And that woman is still kicking indoors like when I was 8 years old. But what happened yesterday that Mike alluded to at the Phoenix Sun Dallas Mavericks game was something that I can't just go idly by and let that just sweep under the rug. And I'm going to say this as professionally and as eloquently as I possibly can, but make no mistake about it. Y'all know what I'm trying to say when I say this. And the only reason I don't make this a disclaimer and make this a smoking section is because I want to pay respect to the mothers out there. As an NBA fan, as a fan of any sport in general, any concert, any opera, anything that provides you entertainment, the one thing you think as a fan, you think you might have the privilege to do is just to be able to, especially if you sit front row, courtside, maybe a couple rows back, is to just say and do whatever you think you possibly can. Why? Because you paid your hard-earned money to get there? Yeah, no, that doesn't work with me. Now, we've all seen the video of what happened with Chris Paul's mother and his wife. And we weren't there, so we can only assume. But the conversation has been the same. A fan, someone who thought it was okay to touch Chris Paul's mother in a way that she did not want. You thought that was okay. If you're going to heckle Chris Paul or heckle the Phoenix Suns because you don't like them, guess what? That's your right. I do it each and every Sunday when I watch the Dallas Cowboys. But what I won't do, what I have been taught not to do by the woman who birthed me, who raised me, who made me the man that I am, is you don't put your hands on nobody. So in no way do I blame Chris Paul for his actions. Matter of fact, if I was there, I'd have yoked the predator up myself. Because see, mothers are a gift. Mothers are the ones who made us, who mold us, who shape us, and who give us that unconditional love. I have a serious problem with what happened yesterday, especially because it was on Mother's Day. For that young individual, I truly hope he has given his soul to God. Because if Chris Paul gets a hold of him, oh, you best believe his ass belongs to him. Welcome back to the Sports Arena. We got about 10 minutes left here, so I just want to make sure we show some love to the WNBA because, listen, that's what we do. Like I said, I've got LA Sparks, I've got Phoenix Mercury, I got Dallas Wings, and I've got the reigning, defending, undisputed 2021 and WNBA champion Chicago Sky in the building. So let's talk about it, Queen of Hoops. You know, Atlanta Dream winning their home game.
Oh, so you chose violence. Okay, so we're going to start off with that one. Okay.
Why not choose? Why not choose? I didn't choose violence.
Choose violence because I would have bet the deed to my house that the Atlanta Dream was not winning this game going into this game. Like I would have bet
the same thing with Chicago.
Man, okay, there was just no way that it was going to happen. No, because LA, at least they got the Aguma K sisters and they got Liz. Like you know what they got going on. You know. What does Atlanta have? Atlanta has a whole bunch of youngins. They got a couple of people.
I'm sorry, Cheyenne Parker. You know that woman she has on her arm Relentless.
Okay, no. I said they got a couple of veterans, and the rest of them is just very young. And shout out to Ryan Howard, who really came in and had an excellent game. And also to speak up on Cheyenne, I really feel like either if she was going to be ejected, I think Marina should have been ejected as well. I really think both of them should have had techs across the board. Both of them should have got techs. Like, I felt like they were both equally responsible for that play, and it should not have resulted in either Cheyenne being ejected unless Marina was ejected, or they both should have got techs. But in my opinion, they both should have been techs. Very physical game. Very surprised by ATL. Shout out to them. They're in a rookie season for not only several of their players, but for their coach as well. So I probably would have bet the whole bank that they were not winning this game. And I hope the Wings ladies, I hope they had to run baselines for 3 hours today until they threw up, because there's absolutely no way that the Atlanta Dream should have beat us in the opening game. I care if it was an ATL or Dallas. It doesn't matter. Arike had 7 points. She broke the streak. She had like 35 plus games straight where she was in double digits, and they broke the streak. That's not going to happen again. It randomly happened in game 1. The season is 36 games long. We will get through it. And no excuses. Satu Sabali is not there. Tiara McCown, not there, but no excuses. Regardless, without those two ladies, there's no way that the ATL should have beat us. We lost. And they deserve everything that they got coming to them from Vicki Johnson, because I know she came at them. Also, we cut Mariah Jefferson today.
I saw that. I'm going to echo those same sentiments and say one thing, which is going to sum up how I felt after Friday night. And Coach Wade said it best. When you allow 25 turnovers in a game, they shouldn't have won. There's no reason why they should win. That game was in the bag for the Chicago Sky. Dana Evans in the third quarter was lights out. I'm telling y'all, if the ball was in her hand, it was going in the hoop. It don't matter. She was putting up shots. She was baseline and one. I mean, I was just like, who is this young woman? I saw her last year in her rookie season. She came out like, I'm making a statement night one. Candace, same thing. Got off to a slow start. Only 2 days of practice before her home opener. But Candace, the third quarter was Candace Parker and Dana Evans. That's exactly what it was. Now, to your point, Megan, exactly. Allie Quigley's not playing. Ka is still not here. So we were working with the Sparkle Taylor. We were working with these other young women who had come in. But I was just like, how in God's green earth do you let LA back into this? And then the game went to overtime. And from that point, Cambage, who didn't score till the third quarter. Think about that. Let that marinate for one moment. Liz Cambage did not score a single point until the third quarter when she was at the free throw line. And the Sparks beat Chicago in their home opener. Listen, the Guest Cool McCain sisters, shout out to them and what they do. I was just, but again, I will say this. Dana Evans did not foul Jordan Campbell. Say that right now. Did not happen. So, Mike, what's going on with your Mercury, man? You let Becky Hammond get her first win in your home stadium. What's up, bro?
I knew you were waiting for that, man. When I saw how your game went down, I'm like, well, at least he can't give me too much of a hard time. But look, Skylar Diggins-Smith played out of her mind. She had 25, but when Diana Taurasi she had 9 points. She also had, she had 9 rebounds. She had 4 points. She had 9 points. I take that back. She had 9 points and 9 assists, but
yeah, she was 9, 9, and 4.
Yeah. So, and just, watching it, I was like, man, but I'll tell you what, man, the Aces played fast. And, again, from a human side, it's more important to get Brittany Grinders back in the U.S. But I don't know. I mean, they seem like they have pretty good energy, but it just seemed like something's missing. But again, hey, they're playing games, man. And hats off to Vegas. I mean, Megan talking about Becky Hammond. I mean, she was that kind of guard. It's game one. You don't think, even in the NBA, you see teams that like to play up pace, but even after the preseason, man, game one, you're kind of like, it's a little sloppy, some rush shots, this and that. You can't play up pace. Man, hats off to Vegas on that. But I look forward to the next time those two play, because as we know, as salty as DT is, that'll be interesting. But look, man, they got their butts whooped. So, I mean, you did have good performance. Like I said, Skylar Diggins-Smith shot 56% from the field, 54%, 56%. Either, like, you get 25 out of her, and you're thinking, okay, this is, and not that she can't do that. Obviously, you can't. Tina Charles had 15 in her first game. You'll take that. And Vegas just said, okay, whatever. And they kept it up tempo, and They hit their shots, man. So it was frustrating, Eric. I definitely felt your pain, man. After you felt your pain, I felt your pain even more.
Mr. 2-0, quiet as it is, you got to unmute.
I'm good. I don't know why you just sat here and talked all disrespectful about my team. Like I wasn't even here. Like I can't believe we let LA and let us do nothing. And the only bad thing about opening night, many don't notice, Eric, I was supposed to be there with you. You had a mate, like the view you had. Oh my God. And I saw your coverage, bro. Great work. For those that don't know, I was supposed to be with Eric, American Airlines. Thank you very much. But that was the only bad part for me, was I wasn't there to rub it in your face over some drinks after the fact. But listen, man, like, you know how some teams have an identity? Like that's how they win. Like just for our counterpart, like the Lakers have always won with a dynamic duo. You had Magic and Kareem. You had Shaq and Kobe. You had Kobe and Gasol, right? That's their identity. When LA has had success at Sparks, it's all we got our big personnel. We went from Lisa Leslie, right? When she had Denisha Milton with her, and then we had Candace Parker with McCain, and we just went and got Big Liz. And she couldn't figure it out game one. You saw she dropped a smooth little 22 and 11 the second game. I think we're going to see that Dallas version of her. Next thing, listen, man, Eric, calm down, baby. Calm down.
Oh,
calm down.
Eric.
Let's
go back to the early 2000s Sparks when we went to 3 finals in a row and won back-to-back chips. Who was the coach? Ex-5-time champion Los Angeles Laker and Michael Cooper. Who's the coach now? Ex-5-time champion Los Angeles Laker who Megan loves so much in Derek Fisher, right?
Hey, I'm flipping you off under the camera. I just want you to know.
This is our formula for success, right? Fortify the middle with a big body, i.e. Lisa Leslie, i.e. Candace Parker. Now you got Big Liz. And Gumaquay is going to do it. Like, listen, man, we're going to the ship. 2-0, we're going to enjoy it for now. Take that L. You got to hold it till we play you again, Eric. We're going to the ship.
2 games, Eric. Wow.
Hey, wait, who y'all playing game 2? Who y'all playing game 2?
Indiana.
A
bunch of rookies.
Okay.
Yeah, when they're Indiana's so great.
Hold on.
Best draft. Indiana killed it in the draft. They're going to be so good this year. We beat them. Now they're nobodies. Listen, man,
No. Time out. No. We never said they were going to be good this year. We said they were building.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what, Eric? You're right. Second game was nobody. Who did we beat in game 1, Eric? Zoom in on that picture behind Eric. Y'all see Eric back there with Coach Wade?
Okay.
Y'all see him back there?
Yes.
Hey, listen, you can only play who's in front of you.
No, I get it. But listen, you got to play.
I wasn't picking. I was asking. I really feel like you guys, like you brought up earlier, y'all's front court is ridiculous, and we weren't ready to give you credit for it. And where was this Liz in Las Vegas? Because they got somebody with that was injury prone. They got somebody that had mental health problems. But shout out to somebody that's playing. Happiness matters. You know, we talk about winning matters, happiness matters. And Liz looks happy over there in LA. So good for her. Hope that she has an excellent season. Definitely not going to count you guys out as far as being competitive. I don't think anybody is touching the Aces in the West. And if last night's closing game for the night with the Storm versus the Aces is any indicator of how good the Aces are, I think that shows you right there. The Storm, who's an incredibly loaded team, we saw them hull out Minnesota on opening night, and then they had to play the Aces. And it was an excellent game until about 3 minutes left. It was very back and forth, and then the Aces just took ahead, and they won by about 10 points. Aces are tough. And in spite of losing Liz, I think they look better without Liz. They are like doing exactly what Golden State is doing, and they are amplifying small ball. Asia and De'Erica Hamby are going to eat in the post. We're going to see double-doubles and triple-doubles out of those two ladies all season long. Becky Hammond leading the ship. Talk about ship. We're talking Aces.
Hey, Eric, I got to give a shout-out, though, to John's Mystics because I saw something. What was it, opening night? They held their opponent to 4 points in the second quarter. Man, that's pro basketball. I'm sorry. Like, if anybody says, and I don't want to hear that, and I tweeted at somebody that made a comment, and I should have screenshot it, sent it to you because I was so annoyed. Like, oh, what's this like? It's like it's girls' high school basketball or something. I was so pissed, but I'm like, you know what? They don't deserve the time. But I did tweet at them. They held, who was it? They held Minnesota to 4 points in the second quarter. So John's not here to talk about it because he would be gloating. Dude, that's just a beatdown. And the way Deladon looks, man, I mean, I know we're lucky.
They did that without Deladon in back-to-back games. So they had Deladon
games.
in the first game, right? So we're not going to see Deladon in back-to-back games most likely this season.
But
Natasha Cloud is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying Deladon looked like she could play. I mean, I know they want to ease her back in, and we all understand why. But she definitely looked like she could play back-to-back games right now. So, man, shout out to John's Mystics. He's not here, so we don't have to hear him make ridiculous s'more statements about go overboard, as Ray and Eric and Megan, as we all know. But dude, that's just a beatdown. To hold a team to 4 points, that's insane.
You know, I'm telling you right now, Cheryl was probably losing her mind.
Oh yeah,
Cheryl Reeves, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. I'm sure she was going insane because
I told
she knows how good that team is.
Yeah,
they were going to miss Fee. I told y'all this.
We'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here on the Sports Arena tonight. We will be back Wednesday night, I'm sure, talking more NBA, WNBA. Might sprinkle in a little bit of hockey. I don't know. It's just, it's pretty much. I know, Mike. Your favorite time of the year, Stanley Cup. I get it. We got to talk a little soccer, I'm sure, at some point, because you and Megan are continually talking soccer. But more with the crew on Wednesday night. So for all of us, for Megan, for John, for Mike, for Ray, your man Eric Wilson, hey, everyone have a blessed evening. Call your mama tomorrow and tell you love her. Peace.